Many. Billow Kerrow, I think I'll start with you because I saw you in studio that day. So then let's just begin from that point where what does this budget represent?
The 2021-22 budget is not significantly different from the budget of the previous year by the Jubilee administration. It's a budget which basically reflects a government that is living far beyond its means, and that has, I used one word to describe this budget, is reckless, because you have a situation where you are spending twice as much as you are generating in terms of revenue. In a time, and the result and the implications of that is that there will be more taxes and more hardships because of the measures that the government has put in place to try and, generate revenues. And right. At the time when we have a pandemic, we are in the middle of a crisis. You have had 30% of the jobs have been lost in the medium and the small and medium enterprises. It's not the time to really to have a very expansive budget where you're going to tax Kenyans more. You're taxing them on bread. You're taxing them on every little thing. That there's literally no item today in this country that is not being taxed or serviced. That has made things more expensive and the life more difficult and the cost of living very high for Kenyans. And what is the result of that? More poverty, more jobs lost, no incomes. And this is impacting also on all those things that we have had. The industry, for example, depends on people having income, people, creating demand. So I think the budget clearly, in my view, was reckless, because I mean it didn't have to be that big, really. I mean,
but you've said that it wasn't different from what you have seen or we have seen in previous years.
In terms of the deficits,
yes.
In terms of the spending being much higher than the revenues, it's been the same for the last few years by this government.
So what different thing did you expect to see?
No, what we expected is that because of the crisis that we have now, the pandemics, the job crisis, the lack of employment, and all these things, and the government ought to have been a bit more rational in terms of rationalizing its expenditure. We expected the government to cut down on some of its, spending, so that then, we don't have to get into a situation where we have to borrow, 1 trillion shillings just to, keep the government running. I think that's a concern.
Right. Wanjiru, do you think this was a pro-Mwananchi budget?
No, Akisa, thank you so much. And I fully associate with Billow's sentiments. This budget was more of the same.